Okay, I think I'm going to answer this one. Why is my bonnet always up in a twist? Whatever. Right, grab a cup of rosé and let's have at it. Sensitive types don't necessarily have a genre that they avoid. Now, take myself, for example. I'm an actor. So I take accents and ideas and I do come up with things. And I make the intuitive's reality a reality in the real world sense, see? So, for example, I do voiceovers for these genres specifically, both fantasy and sci-fi. And I love doing it. I love creating that thing in real time, right? But I don't want to spend the bloody time to freaking, create the thing. Now, although I haven't released my books yet. I've written 4 of them, but I haven't released them. Still working on my bits and on my music. But that's the point, see, I'm a censor. It's boring to me to go through all that detail when it's not real. I can't bloody touch the thing. Like voiceovers, for example, I can touch the microphone, the computer, doing it in real time. So in a sense, that's, even though intangible, it's sensory. So yeah, I see your point, and it does make sense. However, my ENTP friend, the genre is non-specific. So keep that in mind. What you're referring to is complete abstract, and sci-fi in itself and fantasy not being something that you can really touch. Let's say it's a book on, some sort of thing you can touch, like cats. Okay, let's say you make a book on cats. Right, as a censor, I can touch it, and I've pet a cat before. Who hasn't pet a cat? But if it's like, some fantasy thing that's a bit out there, then I'll wait for the bloody movie. It's not that we can't create that in our head, though, see? As a creative type myself, I'm not going to say, I don't want to bloody read the frickin' book because it's so frickin' that's a thick book. I'll get intimidated. No, I really do believe that intuitives are the ones who take the time to sit down and curl up in a good book. However, the ISFJ is known for reading a lot of fantasy novels too. Trust me, a lot of ISFJs read fantasy novels. So no, it's not necessarily genre. There are certain sensors that will take the time. But the one you're referring to is probably an SP type. An SJ probably would take the time. Take ISFJ, for example, like I said. And maybe an ESFJ, I don't know. I don't believe, though, that sensors don't like imagination. It's just not as practical as being able to touch a project, right? I've been making something, and I want to touch it, I want to be done with it, and move on. I'm an ESFP, though, so I'm a little bit 6s and 7s with that, So if you want the dicky bird about it, I'd say S is a bit less patient. That's it. But you made your point. I think we just go about it different ways. But we still enjoy the genre. It's more about looking at letters on a page, right? The interpretation of that rather than acting in it, enjoying it in real time, going to the theme park. Now that's a fantasy adventure that we love because it's real time. So fantasy and sci-fi only applying to intuitives is just a pot of rubbish, really. And I ain't telling no porky pies in a bag of trout when I say it. Sensors love fantasy. I love fantasy. And I love you. Have a good night.